Hello everybody, good day to you sir, and welcome to this video. It's a short documentary of the construction industry. Well, we don't really got a real project here, but we do have an imaginary project here. Well, this imaginary project is a bungalow, 3 stories with a total built-up area of 5,713 square feet. Other than that, we also received some requests from our client, including this bungalow needs to feature a Balinese style interior design and also a water feature. Be it inside, be it outside. Our client wants to achieve a gold rating in GBS certification, and one of the biggest challenges we might face here is this bungalow that we are planning to have is actually situated on a sloping terrain in Subang Jaya. How do we get all this to work? In this video, we'll go through the very beginning and end from our client having this idea of the bungalow all the way until our client lives in the bungalow. Let's go. First things first, when we have a building, when we want to have a building, the client will first engage this dude by the name of architect. This architect is often the project director, or sometimes known as superintendent officer or contract administrator. In other words, means he's pretty powerful. He represents the client among consultants. Means whatever he says, you can say the client says it. He is the one who directly communicates with the client and acts as a middleman between the contractor and the client, and also between other matters. Well, first things first, in a construction process, we first go to the schematic design phase, where the architect will receive a statement of needs from the client, and the architect shall propose his design or his concept to the client while he prepares his schematic building plan. Hopefully the client accepts it. Soon after that, after many quarrels or coordinations, the architect and the client comes together with the quantity surveyor, the interior designer. They get to one agreement and they submit working drawings to obtain approval from the local town council. In this case, it's the Subang Jaya Municipal Council, or widely known as MBSJ. That all happens in the contract documentation phase, when the consultants together obtain the development order from the town council. Now, this development order actually includes building plans, bill of quantities, even wiring plans, piping plans, etc. It's a really complicated, really messy stuff, but things are done so it's safe. We know that the building is safe, and then we obtain a development order from the town council. Now we can build stuff. Next, we move on to this thing called the contract implementation and management phase, where whatever building plans we have just now, wiring plans, they are all now compiled into something called tender document. This tender document will be let out for open tender among the contractors. Yep. The contractors then bid for their stuff. The architect is also responsible of hosting client consultant meetings and technical coordinations just to make sure everything's working fine. The architect has to inspect the building after its completion before issuing the certificate of completion and compliance, which means the architect is responsible for the completion and also the quality of the building.
When it comes to the quantity surveyor part, the quantity surveyor will read the drawings and plans done by the architect and prepare the preliminary cost estimation and cost plan of the development project. They will also give advices on cost estimates in relation to the design development of a project, as well as acting as a financial advisor for the client. The quantity surveyor will also prepare a bill of quantities when the design and drawings has completed for the contractor to submit tenders.
What a land surveyor comes to do is to look at the boundaries of the property and of the client's land, set the official boundaries of the client's land, after which they are to carry out the following tests of topology, soil, and to check for any existing materials which are underneath or on the site that may belong to public or the city. And this will allow the architect to design the building according to the ground topology and all the existing factors that are already on site. And as such, this allows the architect to draw things accordingly.
Alright, now I will talk about the role and responsibilities of civil and structural engineers. Firstly, they analyze and survey every report and data they have in their hand to plan projects. They design structures in accordance with government standards. They later evaluate grade requirements to determine design specifications. Engineers inspect project sites about the safety and sanitation before giving instructions on construction and operations at site. They have to test soils and materials to determine the adequacy and strength of foundation needed. They will need to prepare bid proposals, deeds, and some public reports. They need to provide technical advice to industrial and managerial personnel. Okay, that's all for the civil engineer.
Well, now when it comes to the mechanical and electrical engineer, who exactly is the mechanical and electrical engineer? Normally we call this guy by name M&E engineer, short for mechanical and electrical. This guy is actually an engineer specialized in detailing mechanical and electrical works, as the name suggests. M&E is also part of the consultants and also involved in many stages of the construction process. For instance, during contract documentation phase, the M&E engineer will need to prepare a wiring plan, piping plan, switch plan for sanitary, etc. Many details for mechanical and electrical furniture, features, example external lighting, water feature, etc. Many things that are included in the M&E go throughout the house and will also be together with the architect's building plan right before submitting to local authorities for approval.
Interior designer define the project brief and understands the requirement and schedule to examine the space given and the budget constraints. They plan design of man-made spaces and consider how the space will be used and how people will move through the space. A part of environment design and make interior space functional, safe and beautiful by determining space requirements and selecting decorative items such as furniture, color, lighting, artwork, and materials. Interior designer oversees the installation of the design environment to making sure that the requirement is met and within budget. Contractor is an organization or sometimes a person hired by the clients to carry out the work that is required for the construction, renovation, or demolition of a building, road, or other structure. You need to submit a price proposal, tender report, or bid of the project for the client in the tender process and sign a contract with the clients to ensure the project can complete in time. He is responsible for providing all of the materials, labels, equipment, and services for the project. In some cases, the contractor will hire specialized subcontractors to perform all or portion of the construction work to ensure the quality standards. He also responsible for the supervision, direct and coordination of all parts of the work in the project site to ensure the progress is consistent with the commitments. He has full control of all operation on the site for monitor and manage the project in terms of time schedule, cost, safety and project compliance with all necessary legal and regulatory requirements. He is fully responsible and liable to indemnify the clients against all damage, expense, losses and injury, where he should necessarily cover and take up the relevant insurance policy and properly process all contract payments.
After all that, let's just have a brief run through of how it works in the construction process. Well, first things first, just as we mentioned, when we go into a construction process, we first start with the schematic design phase, where the client engages the architect the client hands over a statement of needs, or better known as project brief. The architect prepares something called a schematic building plan. Site surveys are being conducted very frequently by the various consultants, including the architect, the quantity surveyor, especially the land surveyor. The land surveyor does its topography studies, its soil investigation, and utmost, land surveyor does lay out legal boundaries to avoid legal disputes. Preliminary costs are being prepared by the quantity surveyor, and everything is starting to come together as a project in order to be submitted towards town council for approval. Next, we move into something called the design development phase. Working drawings are submitted to MPSJ for approval, pre-consultations are being arranged, the preliminary costs are being updated, the client also gets constantly updated on the project schedule in the form of timeline or sometimes a Gantt chart, so the client has a very clear grasp of how is the client's money well used in this project. Moving on, we go to the contract documentation phase. Bills of quantities, detailed drawings, the actual building plan is already out. We have obtained our development order, we prepare for open tenders towards the contractor. After that, we receive tender prices, tender documents, price proposals from our contractors. After discussing and advising the client on tenders, the client currently awards the contract towards the contractor, with the architect as a contract administrator. Next, we move on to the contract implementation and management phase. Construction process has started officially, the foundations are being laid, the building is building, inspections are still done constantly by the various consultants to make sure the building progress is being kept up to whichever progress that is proposed, and the workmanship is kept at industrial standard, being made sure by the clerk of work. In the end, we finally come to the final completion phase. The building is already built, currently certified as built drawings. Inspection is still being carried out constantly by quantity surveyors, interior designers, architects. We are making sure that the building is built as the client's will and needs. We have this defects liability period where the contractor does not receive his last payment yet until the expiry date of this defects liability period. This is to ensure that the contractor will remain liable for whatever mishaps or any defects that may occur during this 1 year or usually 12 months of the completion of the building. The certificate of completion and compliance is being issued by the architect. The quantity surveyor finally completes the final accounts, revises the bills of quantities, client releases retention payment towards the contractor. That being said, we understand that among the construction industry, there are many parties involved, and each and everybody is a team player which plays very important roles throughout the process. That's it for today. See you next time.